Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the DeFi Crypto Alliance show where we are doing our best. Corey's daughter's hanging out with us today. We're doing our best to be the bridge between crypto and other investors, real estate investors, entrepreneurs alike, to help people understand what we feel like is the biggest opportunity, that being crypto, over the next few years. Today is our open mic show. This is our favorite type of show. We like doing hanging out with you guys. So we'll put in the chat the link to come and join us if you want. And man, the crypto communities are on fire today. So there's lots to talk about. Corey, take it away, man.
Yeah, Corey Geary here. Just super stoked to be here with you guys on this amazing wealth creation journey where we're going to use cryptocurrency as wealth creation and use real estate as a wealth preservation. We're even having this conversation a little bit in our private group today. It was really cool because a lot of the real estate guys are kind of seeing the light, I guess you would say, as far as like how crypto really is the best opportunity right now. And there's no better, in my opinion. And we can use real estate later down the road to really come in and secure and lock in those gains, if you will, for just long-term legacy wealth for us and our families, because we all know we want to create a brighter future for these little ones here who are going to carry on. Hi, say hi. So yeah, super excited. Yeah, the cryptocurrency communities are being absolutely crazy right now. Man, I cannot believe the controversy we're seeing going on, and not only in the Hex and Richard Hart ecosystem, but there's controversy over in the Bitcoin ecosystem, the Pulse Bitcoin ecosystem, and I'm not sure. I don't think there's much controversy over in the Icosa and Hedron ecosystem. I think Alex is just too laid back to ever have any controversy. He's like the Switzerland of crypto in a lot of ways. He just always brings such like a humble opinion and a humble neutral stance on everything. It's just like
Well, it's
so.
funny you set the tone for your community, and Alex is just like very laid back. You tend to attract the people that are like you. Alex is easy, community is easy, but then you have people in the Pulse Bitcoin community that tend to be controversial. Richard Hart himself is controversial, and so you have controversy in the other communities.
Yeah, it's been quite the stir up right now, and I'll kind of give my opinion because I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, Corey, what do you think?" Dane, what do you think? Like at the end of the day, we just don't know. The only thing that will
Yeah.
decide on how these two hexes will do is the marketplace. That's it. Period. You know, so the guys who were on the Twitter, channel that early this morning, if you guys were in that group, you heard a lot of back and forth between a couple bigger influencers. And, at the end of the movie, they just don't know. But I have prepared my bags in a way where I'm going to be Switzerland again, like how I kind of like use the analogy with Alex, where he's kind of in the middle and doesn't really take a side. I'm not going to take a side on ehex, phex. I have my bags packed on Ethereum, and I have my bags packed on Pulse Chain. Now, with that being said, I will weigh a little bit more heavily on the Pulse Chain side moving forward. Meaning, like if I bring in new economic energy, say if I do a wire this morning or tomorrow or next week, that wire is going to come in and most likely it will go in the Pulse Chain, unless we just saw some like real historical, like crazy price dip on ehex that I thought was going to be like just going to be like game changer, game over. Like right now, guys, the delta from ehex to phex is not that great in my opinion. I think ehex is like 1.6. I think I just checked it, and phex is like 2.2. It's not that big of a difference. Like if people, you're not getting like legendary price buying opportunity, in my opinion, over on Ethereum side versus Pulse Chain. So if I was looking for more hex, I'm still going to buy more Pulse Chain hex because overall we have the lows in all these. Oh man, we got Pulse Stream. What's up, brother? How we doing?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
So good, man. But that is my opinion. So my bags, I'm not going to EES my my Ethereum stakes. I'm not going to nuke my Hedron stakes on the Ethereum side. I'm going to let those roll just in case it does well in the future. but any new economic energy I'm bringing in is going over to Pulse Chain. So that is my stance on this, and I'm going to let it play out. And the only person or thing that knows what's going to happen is the market. None of us know what's going to happen. It's the market that knows.
Right. Agreed. What's up, Pulse you've been what's your feel free to weigh in on the ehex versus phex thing if you want to, or there's questions in here about farming. I know you're the resident expert on some of that stuff. I'm glad you're here today. We're going to talk to you about that. And you're muted right now.
Hi. Yeah, I
There
don't
we
care
go.
in general.
Right. I love it. I'm glad you
We're
said that.
yeah. I mean, we're talking about almost a 2.5 cycle coin. I mean, I like it, but I'm not an OG in hex, and I got decent size bag there, but that's not where I'm throwing my lot. It's definitely on Pulse Chain Pulse X for the next
I love it.
3 years, 2.5.
Us too.
Yeah, so don't care.
Us too. Are you so that's a good question. It says, are you farming on Pulse Chain? I've been holding off because I've been rubbed too many times. Any advice? Yeah, what are you doing, Pulse Stream?
I did for the first like what 3 maybe 4 days of the hex farm. I'm not touching anything else. I did a day of PLS rat PLS, but when I saw that ratio climbing, I was out. Um,
Sure.
yeah, I mean when you look at like a 20% difference, you're looking at I think it's either 4 or 0.4% in permanent loss, right? And when we're talking like 50% APR, that's I think it's like 20 days to make up that impermanent loss, right? And when
Right.
we hit 20% in 4 days, I'm done. I'm done. I'd rather hold on to my bag. I made more than that up in the hex side on that farm for a little bit. I got out before the big disparity happened, so that was nice.
Nice,
So
not me.
yeah.
I
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
yeah, no,
I gotta
I didn't have a big bag. I had a very small bag in
Right.
there, and so like that's why with the farms I play very small, very
Totally. Yeah.
small on my portfolio. I did not risk
Yeah.
because of stuff like that. And so
Yeah.
like when it happened, like literally Richard Hart tweeted it, and I was like down at the Puerto Rican coffee shop here, and I was like, oh man, I better get home and freaking undo the farm, and yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and that's the danger with those things is sometimes they go away. I have a feeling that Richard probably or possibly pulled that down because a lot of people were emergency end staking, and
hmm
and we saw what happened with the price over on the Ethereum side. But I mean, he put something up that had 500, at the low had like 500% APR. That's insane. That's percent and a half today. That's nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and I
yeah,
think even though it's not part of the farms, I think I saw a post on Twitter. I haven't verified this. I need to go and look, but I think you're still getting between 40 and 50% APR if you stayed in the hex pairs.
So
Can you guys confirm or deny that?
you're not. That's hard to. So you have to take your size of the pool, so your personal size, and divide
Right.
that by the volume, right? So if you have 0.1%
yeah,
of the pool, you divide the volume by 0.1%, and then you figure out you are gaining fees, right? You still gain the fees, you just don't gain the incentive
Right.
token. And what those are, that's the point oh, what is it, 289% of and whatever percent of that, right? Because 0.06 goes to buy and burn, so you get the leftover of basically whatever side they bring in, the ehex or phex. You get that added to your stack. So yeah, you are slowly accumulating hex. And if you don't care about like what side you have more of, great. I mean, those really are, they should be long-term plays, right? That should be something that you're in for 5, 6, 7, 8 months, and you make that 80% over those 5, 6, 7, 8 months. Well, you lost 30% on one side, doesn't matter. You made
don't matter.
80%
Yep.
every year. That's the idea with those. And yeah, they're always. I think we talked about this when I was on. Like they're always astronomical when they first start, and they come right back down,
Hmm.
right? Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, usually something that's stable, you're usually looking at like 2 to 13%. That's the typical. You look at stablecoin pairs. At the high end, it's like 20% for like a couple days, a couple hours.
Mm.
It's
Where do you think a lot of these? I'll pull it up while we're chatting. But where do you think a lot of these? Well, first, do you think a lot of these farms will stick around longer term?
I think PLS Rat PLS. Let me pull those up. PLS Rat PLS should stick around forever. I'd hope. the dies, the stable coins you wish would basically what you want them to be tied to should stick
Mhm.
around, right? So PLS, wrap PLS. I'm sure Richard would like those to move together, right?
Right.
So those should stick around long term. Also, you want to be able to have the ability to exchange for stablecoin. So and have like a thick liquidity, and the way you do that is by providing incentive on those pairs. So you'd hope that a lot of these stablecoin ones would stick around. Now maybe 6 months after your what is it, earn and liquid loans come out and coast, right? Maybe we have enough volume there and enough to replace this $22 million that you can put USDL and what is it, PXDC or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Yeah, PXD.
PLS XDC, whatever it's going to be. Terrible, terrible ticker, by the way. But, hopefully we can see those here, or at least keep these and add those here. We would hope to see those stable coins up here at some point. Now it's nice that those are directly redeemable anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it's great that we have the ability to go back to Ethereum with one of their stable coins, right? You'd hope that those would stay forever. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. And it feels like the ink pair should stick around. And looking at other protocols and farms, it seems like those have stuck around, and you can get a little bit of
Hmm.
price parity and bonding in some respect with liquidity being bonded between the incentive token and the main Pulse or Pulse X here in this instance. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Good, Corey.
I mean, until it's not right. And so, because I was hanging out with some guys the other night here in Puerto Rico who were thinking that the incentive token is there just for that one purpose, is incentive, and that it will have really quick and short bursts of like price appreciation, and then also the opposite. So they feel like it's more like a gambling type pool to be involved in, where the more stable pools are the like Hex and Pulse and Pulse X to Pulse, of course. And then so those will be the two main. So I don't know. I've got a little bit in the ink pools. I put a very small bag in there just so that way I can scratch the itch, kind of, if you will. And if something were to happen to it, like I wouldn't care if I was left holding one or the other, but it would suck if I had a large position of Pulse and ink in there. And for example, if Pulse started ripping and I was left with holding all ink, I would not be happy with that outcome. And so you have to
Right.
look at both outcomes and ask yourself, am I happy with the outcome on both sides of the scenario? And so with that outcome there, I would not be happy with. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Be careful, I would say, with that one. It might run, it might rock and roll and parody forever. That could be a thing, right, Dane? Who knows? But it is
Sure.
the risk you're taking.
Yeah. What's up, Sprackburger? What are your thoughts on the farms? We love your input here.
Yeah, anything that's promising hundreds of percentages of APY is probably degen. And that happened a lot on the last bull run. You had a lot of farms on
Yeah, we
things like
did.
Phantom and Matic, and
That was crazy. I
yeah, there
remember.
was a bunch of farms out there that were putting out these huge numbers. So this is kind of reminiscent of that. You are there. There's a risk associated with the APR, so just be very careful. If you're in there for a minute and you scrape off you're able to buy back your LP position. That's probably the best play. Um, but other than that, it's kind of risky. Now, I do like the Pulse and the Wrap Pulse pairs. I have been providing liquidity for that pair, and I did do the Hex ehex pair, but I did a small bag.
Yeah,
However, I when I put it in there, I knew what the risk was. And I knew that I
exactly.
was going to end up with one side or the other, and
Yeah,
I didn't care. And it wasn't going to be a short term play. I knew that was going to be a long term play, because what I think is going to happen, and this is part of the controversy that's been happening all week, they think that somehow this E side's going to die, and that's fucking bullshit. I think that some of these guys are smoking crack. They don't understand who moves this market. It's not a bunch of little plankton like the rest of you guys. It's these large position players that move this market. And when they see the price on one side dip harder than or meet their buy pressure, they're like, oh, but it's too expensive on the ETH side. These guys don't care about those prices on the ETH side. They don't care about $100 gas. Their
That's
position
very
is
true.
so big that it's their position is so big. Like, check this out. Was there a change in the code? No,
Nope.
there was no change in the contract. It's the same product on both sides. Now, you tell me this. You've got a bunch of people flocking over to the P side, and they're going to start doing the staking, and they're going to start doing all that stuff because it's easier to end stake and it's easier to do your stuff on that. What's going to happen to the APY on the E side? You're just going to give up all the APY. And so
Yep.
now there's less people in the pools. If you were a ETH whale, you'd benefit from the E side way better just because there's
Now
less people to compete with.
it
There's
will
less
take
people
some
to compete
time
with.
for that to play out, though,
It will
Sprack.
take some time.
It will be
Yeah.
like 6 months, maybe a year before
Yeah.
we start to really see a kind of a significant difference to weight people back over onto the Ethereum side. And I will have a bit of a small counter argument with, and I'm for you. I'm for it, right? Like I'm Switzerland on this. I'm neutral. I want ehex to do well. If it does, I have my bags packed over there. But people are like, well, it's the T share. The T share is still the same. The code's still the same. Well, I mean, you can make that argument on ETH POW, ETH Fair. We still need buy pressure. Like no matter what, we have to have buy pressure. And without buy pressure, the T share don't mean shit. And so like people are like, oh, it's the T share is still the same over there. Yeah, but you need a better argument than the T share is the same. Now your first argument I agree with. Like the whales over there and the big money over there don't give a shit about these gas fees. I got a buddy out here in Puerto Rico. He's got to eat the Genesis wallet. Do you think he gives two shits about the gas fees on Ethereum? He doesn't. Like, he's still going to participate on the Ethereum side and the Pulse Chain side. He will be doing both. Godwell, I can see Godwell obviously still participating on both sides. Why wouldn't he? He's got to eat Genesis wallet. So now that's an argument that I can get behind, that I support. That these, and you're right. You need the bigger whales to be participating, the plankton, and a lot of us are plankton, and especially to these guys' eyes, right? Like to Godwell, we're all plankton, and so
Yeah.
like you that is a very valid argument there. That
Yeah.
you need the money. You got to have the money to be able to move the ecosystem. But the argument,
Yeah.
like the guys on Twitter, oh, that T share didn't change. The T share is I don't give a shit. Is that why Dogecoin did it, or Steve Unu did a 2 million X, because it has some kind of, it has nothing to do with the T share. Like it can absolutely die and have the fundamentals of T share behind it. That does not support the argument, but your first argument does.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that 100%. And just looking at how the benefit to people that are large players, large positions, they have the luxury of staking short term. They have the
Yeah,
luxury of
I
doing like a
know.
they have a luxury of a 1 month stake. So if you're talking about volatility risk of something dipping really hard within a short term, like a month, these guys, they could get out because they're rolling their stakes and they're just basically making a monthly income off of their hex. And
Yeah.
so it, for them, it's a lot less risk. It's like you said, it's the same t-shirt on both sides. If they could come in with their capital and they could just basically extract the APY every month and roll it, and they've got hundreds of millions of hacks. It's like they're not going to leave that ecosystem. And like you said, they're not going to care about the gas fees. They're just going to keep
They don't.
using
Yeah.
the product. The product was
Yeah.
designed for longer pays better, bigger pays better. And so if you're a smaller position, you're better off on the long side. But these guys have that luxury of being in and out.
It's funny. We'll probably end up seeing this exact same kind of thing play out, years in the future on Pulse Chain, where like all of us are gonna be like, who cares about the gas fees? We're not gonna get, but all the new people, new players coming in, they're gonna be like, man, we should kill phex and do this new hex, like after we forked again because we're trying to save the gas fee. Like we're not gonna give a shit. Like we're gonna be in here with our Genesis wallets doing what we do and moving a lot of economic energy around. It's like,
I got another one for you. In 5 to 7 years, Ethereum completely change their code and go to optimistic rollups. They could go to
Oh,
ZK
it's
Zinc.
going to.
They're going to fix the gas problem at some point. And so
It's funny how some people were like, "Oh, I want to stake longer on Pulse Chain and shorter on Ethereum." Like my
opposite.
mindset, I want to be the opposite. Ethereum's going to get their shit together eventually, right? They're going to have the optimistic rollups. They're going to have the layer twos. They're going to have all the what is it called, Sprackberger? The EIP. I can't remember what it's called, but they have a very robust roadmap to fix,
Yeah.
or to trim down the gas fees in the future. So yeah, I wouldn't see why you would want the longer stakes on Ethereum and then shorter stakes on Pulse Chain. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my thinking, because I could sit there and do all these crazy rolling stakes on Pulse Chain and it cost me nothing.
Yeah, they're taking a while to roll this stuff out, but this was in their roadmap a long time ago. They were talking about ZK snarks and all these
Yeah.
optimistic roll. They were talking about this like 4 or 5 years ago. So it's in their roadmap. I think they'll fix it. We are seeing promises of that. They did go to proof of stake. They did do the Chapella fork, and all of this stuff has been successful. It's a big task. I do give my hats off to those guys, because it's like changing the wheels on a bus while it's moving 80 miles an hour. It's not an easy
That's a
task.
good analogy.
Or changing the ground floor of a 100-story skyscraper. You're changing the ground floor, and it while it's moving. It's not an easy task, and I think they're doing it. I'm not going to say the right way. I'm just saying that they're doing it kind of prudently, and they're doing it very carefully, and they're being mindful of the validators and the people involved in the in staking and the
Yep.
pools and all the projects that are built on top of it. Remember, if ETH goes down, shit, everything on top of it goes down. So there's a tremendous amount of risk. I think they're going to do something about it, and they're going to do it right. But yeah, but the argument that somehow ehex should die, it's fucking stupid. It's like,
It's
on.
not going to die. Me and Dane were talking about this in the green room.
Or
You
should.
have Ethereum
They're like, no,
Classic.
abandon it. It's
Like,
yeah.
You might have a price difference in the future. That's very well, it could be possible.
Yeah.
But I mean, people still speculate on Ethereum Classic, and Ethereum Classic has its pumps and it does its thing. Like, I mean, who knows where it's going to land at the end of the movie? Only the market knows that. I'm not definitely going to be EES in my stakes. I'll tell you that. Destroying my portfolio over there so I could bring a third of what the economic energy is worth, because I EES'd everything and
Hey,
gave
there's
you
people
all,
doing that.
I'd be
people
giving you
doing
all my
that.
value. I'd be giving you, Dane, and Pulsestream all my value. If I go and EES my stakes, all that value gets bled into your guys' stakes. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Here's
Another thing that I was sorry. Just take a
No,
look
go
at
ahead.
the Desi and Maxi and Lucky. Take a look at some of those pools, because on the
There's
east
some
side,
good deals.
they're really good deals, and remember, they're liquid, so you can wait for price to somehow reach an equilibrium, let the market kind of there's a lot of volatility that's going to happen within the next few months, so just chill out, guys.
Yeah, I like it. Here's a good question. Once again, on our show, we never give any financial advice. We talk about what we would do with our own portfolios, but that could be wrong for somebody else. So I want to give that caveat to this. But it's an interesting question. If you had 100 grand, what would you do? How would you allocate it in the RH ecosystem if you could only invest for one day at current prices? Let's start with you, Corey. How would you put 100 grand in the market?
Okay, so if you had 100K, I was typing in the chat. If you had 100K, how would you each host allocate that? Are you sure if you had only invest for one day at the current prices? So for me right now, the delta is not big enough from I was telling us earlier on ehex to phex, where I would still go into phex because I don't think it's legendary opportunities over there on Ethereum hex yet. Both hexes are extremely low. They're extremely low. One's at 1.6 and the other's like 2.2. Like, it's not like one's at 0.2 and the other one's at 2.2. And so for me, I'll be honest with you, I did a wire this morning. That wire this morning is going to get bridged over to Pulse Chain because I am still packing some bags, though, for Pulse and Pulse X. So I probably wouldn't be buying either hexes right now, where I'm still building some Pulse and Pulse X bags. That's me personally.
Yeah. How about you, Pulsestream? What would you do?
So yeah, I wouldn't even look at the hex charts. Personally, I would open up wrap PLS and PLSX. Uh, Look at which one hurts the most right now, and buy that one.
I like that.
Is that pretty well like exclusively you're building your pulse
I
hex
love
packs?
that.
Pretty
There's a
much,
lot of
yeah.
wisdom there.
Again, like I just, I mean, does does hex get back to 12 cents? Probably. Does it go to a dollar? Maybe. Does it get back to 50 cents? Maybe. We'll see. We also, and by we I mean like everyone in the community also thought it was gonna be $2 by 2 Halloweens ago, and like $1,000 today. You know, so
I thought we were going to $8,000
yeah,
by today.
well, yeah,
If
maybe it
you
was
listen to
$8,000
some,
today and like $1 million tomorrow or something. It's coded in. That's how it moves. It moves with a
it's just
function of a
math.
square, right?
Yeah.
It's just math. Um, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that mentality right there is still prevalent in the hex community. It's my community. And I'm very much more. There's just more gravity to PLS and PLSX. It includes more people. Not that everyone can't use hex. It's just like more people will use PLS and PLSX. Period. Um, Eventually, PLSX will outgrow PLS. Period. As long as people use the decks, it's getting bought forever. Period.
Forever.
Like,
I like
I
it.
think right now at user owned supply we're at like 5% of buy and burn. I
Oh,
think.
it's wild.
Yeah, I mean that is stupid. That's insane. What does that mean in a year? That means in a year we're going to be at. I mean, now these numbers change because over time it gets more expensive, so we buy less of the coin. But let's say in a year we're at 20% of the community owned supply being bought and burnt. Like that
Yeah.
is that's that's mind blowing.
It's
That
remarkable.
is mind blowing.
It really is.
So yeah, I mean, I got a nice healthy bag of PLS. I got a very nice healthy bag of PLSX. Eventually, I assume 90+% of my stuff will be in PLSX. Uh, and when it starts getting close to 2025, mid 2025, 90% of my bag is probably going to be in USDC. So,
I like
um,
it.
like, yeah, I mean, I have a couple cycle plan here, and I hope I can stick to it. I'm not immune to doing stupid shit. Um,
You and me both, brother.
so
You and me
my
both.
hope is that I don't do some stupid shit. But yeah, I mean, as far as for me, like hex and ehex isn't
Yeah.
dead to me, but that's a good savings plan. Maybe we'll see what happens in a
I
year.
love them all.
We might still be at 2 cents in a year. Really, we really might, and that's okay. Like, imagine if you're making 30% forever on a thing that always stays at 2 cents. Cool. Um, but there's just more exciting things that'll do better this cycle, and I firmly believe PLS and PLSX will do a lot better than Hex.
Mm. How about you, Sprackburger?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with that. But what I am doing is keeping like maybe like 20% uh, of whatever I'm deploying today. Like, I guess the question is, what would you be buying today? Uh, a large position in PLSX, just because it's under the SAC rate. It's been hit pretty dramatically, and then you need Pulse. Pulse is going to do well. Layer ones do well on their first cycle, just time and time again, especially EVMs. And then I've got enough hex. I loaded up on a lot of hex this year, just at the insanely low prices.
You've had a lot of time.
But I tell you what, I am sniping. I'm sniping Hedron, like small positions in the Hedron, because it's getting kicked into the dirt. And so like a small position in Hedron would actually be pretty beneficial, especially when you could use it to go and snipe for HSIs. So you can be buying hex at 90% discount using the HSI auctions.
It's my
80%
favorite
discount.
strategy, bro.
A lot of people are hurting right now. I'm sorry, but I will take the other side of your trade. You want to get out of your HSI, give it to me at 80% off. Fine. And sorry, not sorry. But that there's some deals out there where you could buy T shares. And again, these are HSIs, so they're semi liquid. You could NFT them, you can auction them, you can get out of them halfway through the life cycle and get your principal back. And if you've been, we're already at 0.015 on some of this stuff, and you want to give it to me at 90% off, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but I definitely concur that hex is so heavy, especially when you doubled the supply. For us to get to $1 is going to be a lot harder. I'm not saying it can't happen. Anything could happen, but it's going to be a lot harder for hex to get to $1 than for PulseX to do like a 2 to 500x or something like that. And again, I'm being kind of conservative there. I think it could do a lot more, but I'm just going to say that 100x, I will be so happy with 100x. It's just I'll be incredibly happy.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have my hex bags packed too. I wasn't planning on buying much more, but I got across the bridge really early, and so I was able to buy p hex under a penny.
I did
And
too.
yeah, and so with those prices, I was pretty comfortable picking up hex there. But otherwise, my interest lies in the new game. I want to be in the Pulse X. And here's an example. So I think it's interesting to just weigh. We talk about it a lot here, and Corey nailed it already. I think it's really important to weigh two sides of any decision, and make sure that you're hedged enough that if the lesser desirable one occurs, that you didn't bet too heavy. And so I thought that Pulse would gain on Pulse X early. Everybody needs Pulse to transact. So I thought it would gain on Pulse X early. I missed the Pulse sacrifice, and so I have a position in Pulse X that I'm pretty satisfied with. And so I said, in the event that Pulse runs, well, I want to have the opportunity to be able to swap some of this back to Pulse X. But if I'm wrong, how much am I willing to bet? And so for me, that ended up being 30% of my Pulse X holdings. I swapped 30% at pretty much a 1-to-4 ratio from my Pulse X to Pulse, and I was wrong. At least so far in what we're seeing with prices and ratios, Pulse to Pulse X, and it doesn't hurt that bad because I didn't. That was an amount that I was comfortable doing. So with that being said, I like Pulse. I like Pulse X. I like the PH ecosystem guys. We've been buying a little bit of fiat. I like that as a play. And so I like Icosa. Alex is building. That's where I'm placing my bets. So it'll be interesting to see.
And I'm actually kind of redistributing my portfolio a bit, where I was playing pretty heavy in one ecosystem, and I'm taking that money and swishing it around into these other more desirable ecosystems that have a lot more long-term growth. I tend to sometimes to get shiny object syndrome and degen over into other stuff that I shouldn't be doing. It's easy to do in crypto, especially in crypto, bro. It's like,
it's just a couple clicks away, man.
Yeah, yeah, no, and it's just numbers on a screen, man. It's not real money, right? It's and it's like, so yeah. So I've been really treating my portfolio as responsible as possible, man. Lately, just redistributing money around, really focusing on the long-term vision, was what you really got to do with crypto. So easy to get caught up in short term.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on the incentive token long term? I see a lot of people, me included, Randy selling his ink for other assets. I've been selling mine. Do you guys think that's do you think that's the right play with the incentive token? Do you think it's good to hold some of it long term? How are you guys treating it?
I'll tell you what my play is, Dane, real quick, and I'll let everyone speak. I'm going to continue harvesting it, and then when we see, incentive token is made for short-term pumps. That's the way it was kind of described to me. And so what I'll do is I'll wait for those short-term pumps, and then I'll take profits into stables when they have those short-term pumps, and then I'll have that's my dry powder bag now for buy the dip on Pulse and Pulse X. Pulse Stream, why don't you give us yours?
I can agree with that. I thought you were gonna say that you were waiting for short-term pumps and going into PLS, PLSX, which I was gonna say.
No, because usually sometimes they'll be rocking together.
Yeah, so
that's the problem.
Let me see if I can pull this up really quick.
Yeah, I want to be able to harvest it
guys,
and hold the economic energy where I harvest it at, and then deploy it at the right time.
so with what you're just saying, right? We're talking incentive token right here. So we can see it has three pools, right? So it's tied to hex, PLSX, and wrap PLS. And we can also see by how much. We got 50 mil in PLS, 50 mil in PLSX, and basically 50 mil in PLS. But if you look at the liquidity, we got 34 mil, 35 mil, 65 mil, right? So you can take those ratios and you can figure out what it's going to move most with, right? You can figure out what is it tied to. So if you're going to say that you're holding your incentive waiting for it to pump, then going right into PLSX or PLS, I was going to say you might as well just hold the main coin because you're doing the same thing.
Exactly.
Right? So I love that you said I'm waiting for a short-term pump, going to stables, waiting for a dip on everything. I think that's
Yeah.
a great plan.
Harvesting and holding the economic energy on the side.
I think that's
while-
fantastic. I also agree with Randy's point of the second I get it, it's fucking gone and into something else. Especially if we're up. Especially if like it's up and the thing you're buying's down a little bit. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, you could shop for some of your other favorite assets. Maybe it's
throw it
Icosa's
into
on a
fiat, throw it
short-term
into-
dip. Yeah, we don't
And
know.
PH fiat, right?
It gives you the opportunity to go shopping.
Totally. My one warning is we don't know what Richard's going to do with his wallet yet. We don't even know if we're going to have a sacrifice. I've heard the rumor or the hope
heard
that some
that
people
too.
have. Yeah, hopefully incentive will be the thing for the wallet. There's a chance. There's a chance. You want to drive value into that basically nothing coin, like that's a good way to do it. Look what happened as soon as those incentive pools for incentive popped up, right? The farming pools that included incentive. You saw the price go from I think $4 up to $40.
Yeah, rip.
It's insane. Now imagine if that's also the reward token or the what would it be? Like the ownership token of the wallet. I mean that'd be pretty freaking.
You create more utility
You'd see
there,
a
yeah.
sacrifice into buying incentive.
It would be pretty
That'd be
insane, and
wild.
it could happen. But then it seems like every time the community speculates on something happening, it never does. I remember when, like a year ago, all in the Twitter chats, everyone was speculating that Hex was going to be the incentive token.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like, but a lot of the community was buying into it and believing it, and I thought that was absolutely insane. Even
That
at the
was
time, I did.
I agree with that. I agree with that thought. That would have been crazy.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
You guys. So I don't know. We'll see. It's interesting to see. Maybe it is wise to keep 10% of your what you make out of it in a side moon bag, just in case a wallet sacrifice were to come and tied into that.
No, I
think
agree with
that's
that.
fantastic.
Have some of it left over. I'm doing something where, like, I'll produce enough to buy back my LP position. I want my LP position back,
Right.
and then whatever's in that pool is for free. So like, and I could just not forget about it. And then now that I'm generating whatever I'm generating on top of that, yeah, you would want to be selling a little bit of it on pumps, like you said, but I still want to hang on to some of it. I don't quite have my percentages yet, but let's just say something like 60-40 or something like that, where you would sell into fiat on pumps, and that's okay. That's great. But we don't know what's in the Easter egg, I guess. And like the community speculating on a lot of different things, but if you just look at the price of ink, it's down 50 to 60% from its all-time high. So that tells me the community doesn't have a lot of faith in the product. So in that case, I will just hang on to it and wait for something to happen. But yeah, definitely buy back my LP position and sell it when it does like a rip or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it. Where is some of the people want the moon math on PulseX. Do you have your spreadsheet handy there, Pulse-Stream? Can you share with us?
Oh, I can pull it up.
You can also do I don't know, Sprack, are you able to do any TA on Pulse or PulseX yet? Is that
Yeah, they're starting to.
Is there enough, I guess, information in there?
Yeah, it's starting. Yeah,
So
after about a week, it started to behave, but uh, I'm curious to see what Pulsestream has
Yeah, we'll take
for
turns.
Moon
Take
Math.
turns.
let's see here. So this isn't even moon math anymore. Like this is kind of disappointing math, but
Hey,
in a
crypto
good way, I
disappointing math
guess.
is still great
Yeah,
math. I
disappointing
don't
math
care.
is still
Like
great math.
we're the only community. It's like, oh, we're only gonna do a 50x.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So
You go try that in real estate or stocks. They would
yeah.
shoot you.
So what I have here is your friend Sami, right? The big poopy bear. This is my last video, and
I saw it.
his thing is, we're already at a 10x basically, right, from the low, or 30x from the lows, right? So really, that's where we're gonna get our 1000x is from the lows, which I think that's unfortunately very reasonable.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. That's a good way to
yeah,
put it.
I think it's
Unfortunately,
unfortunately very reasonable. So
well said.
what I did, was I took his expectations that he has, well, expectations that he has, and I put it over basically a buy you could have gotten in the first week. And I actually did this. This is the wallet that I'm officially going to be using for my channel. I got a $1,600 buy. I ended up getting priced in at, I think it was 4087.
Not
So I
bad.
got below SAC, which was nice,
Yep.
but everybody's had that opportunity. I think that's reasonable to use.
It is.
So we're gonna take that and we're gonna run with that from SAC price 301, right? APR again, we can see here I'm using 48%, which let's bring up Pancake Swap just so you guys can kind of see what we're looking at right now with Pancake
Yeah,
Swap.
I'm curious about your kind of what are you
They're probably
supposing
still low.
about the APRs because they're low right now in the bear.
They are low right now, but we also, that's somewhat expected. You can see right now we're looking, cake for cake is 21%, and we see all the way up to what do we got? 18.62, 21.8, not terrible. But let's look at what we had in the bull market. Let me pull up one of my old videos here. This one right here, I believe. So here we go. We have the bull market. These were the APRs that we saw in the bull market, right? You can see 89%.
Oh, this is a
42%.
screenshot from the bull.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh,
This is
nice.
the first video I put. I mean, these APRs are real. Like I don't put 48% there to be like, ooh, we need 48%. More than we see anywhere else. Like that's probably close to the average here. Now you see a lot of 42s and whatnot, but we got 160 and a 90, right? And that 90% one is on a real token. That's not cake for cake. The 160% is cake for cake, right? So I really do think we'll be somewhere between the, say, to be nice and easy, the 30 to 60%, right?
Sure.
And these change at all times. If one of these pools that you're in, if the token goes up 10 cent or 10x while that pool's open, guess what? The APR 10x is as well, because the price of the thing that you're receiving is 10 times as valuable.
Oh, yeah.
So if it starts at 20% and the token goes from a cent to a dollar, or a cent to 10 cents, you're looking at 200% APR. Now, because that same number of tokens is still being distributed over the block time, right? The number of blocks that the thing's available for.
Well, what are your thoughts? I know a lot of people are, me included, I'm thinking I'm taking this stuff and I'm dumping it for more PulseX and things that I really want. I mean, it feels like these tokens, the values will get destroyed from putting up tokens for people to earn in the single-sided pools. But I mean, this has been done in Pancake. It's been done elsewhere. What happened during those time frames? Did we see that? Did that occur, or what happened?
They stayed pretty even. Some of them, some of them dumped for sure. Most of those are like, they're not great projects, but most of them are real projects, right? I mean, people buy stupid shit all the time, especially in crypto.
Right.
We talked about
Right.
this story. It's a click away, man.
I'm paying for it right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm making my transfer of like monies over to the other ecos. I'm like, man, I'm losing this much. I'm like, it's painful.
What's the South Park thing? And it's gone, right?
And it's gone.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
Cool. So what are you thinking
Anyway,
math wise?
yeah. So if we
Yeah.
do the if we do the 70x thing over 2 years, oof, ugh, it's all right, you know. Um,
So
you
that's
can
what you
see
have extrapolated here in the
that's what I have
data is to say
extrapolated
like,
here in
hey,
the
get
data.
a
Yeah.
70x for this wallet in 2 years.
Yep. So one
Okay.
quarter in, you're at 30% over SAC, right? But then we have, Randy talks about this as well. Randy Hilarski talks about how, like, I really could see 90 days, 20, 30, 40x. I think he says 100x, which would be nuts. But right, like he says that even, and I think that's very reasonable. But if we're gonna extrapolate that over 70x over 2 years, I've dropped that to a 20x here, which is still great. Um, and at that point, you're putting away $2,000. The third party token you're holding on to $700, right? And that's you're either holding that token or putting that into USDC or USDL, whatever, LUSD, whatever it's going to be, and holding that as a stable. And you're compounding 4K. Anyway, you can go all the way up. I won't run through this like it's a video, but I have this spreadsheet on the latest video. At 2 years, we're talking a 72x. Okay, you're looking at your USDC you're putting away every 3 months being 11, 12K. Your third party bag being 4K, right? Maybe that's now your income. Now this is over 3 months, right? So this isn't monthly. Your compounded is being 23K. So that's 3 months. You're compounding 23K back into your bag, right? That's pretty good.
It's really
Um,
good.
and a quarter into our last, so 2 years and a quarter. This is looking at a 70% drop, right? Right now we're looking at a 70% drop. But let's say we don't drop and we just kind of stay where we're at. Probably not going to happen, but let's say we stay where we're at. So again, you're looking at putting away 13K, 4K of the third party token, 25K compounding. Your total bag size is now 281,000. And again, this is starting with $1,600,
Wow.
right?
What's the total? Do you have the math? What's the total like? Because we're up 70% in appreciation. What's the total that we're up, including the compounding?
Uh, what would be right here, right? It would be this number right here.
Well, right, but do you have the X's? I'm thinking in terms of X's. So we're up 70% in appreciation plus
Uh,
the compounding. Do you know what I mean?
so that would be this number down here, 307,000.
Right, but how many X's is that? So it's more than
300
70X.
and
Is that like a
that's like
90X?
300x. No, because you're going from in this case you go 307 divided by 1600. So 190x. Is that what you said? You're a genius. You might have said 90x, but yeah, it's 190x, which
I
is
was off 100X.
oh, okay. You're still super smart. I still like you. It's all right. But here's the cool thing, right? Is at the end of all of this, this is what you have set aside, okay, in just your USDC bag after 2 years. This is what you have set aside if you set it aside in your third-party bag. Some of these 10x, some of them went to zero, and this is now your monthly income: $14,342.
Wow.
Is that after a 70% dip?
No,
Okay.
that's after a 70x. After a 70%
Okay.
dip, so would that be times 0.03, right?
Yeah.
Or 0.3?
Yep.
Point.
0.3.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, you're right.
So what I had
30%.
here, so let's look at 0.03 because that's going to be our 97% dip.
Yeah.
97% dip, you're looking at $400 a month. Not terrible after 90% dip.
Yeah. Getting your ass kicked. Yeah.
Well,
Doesn't
especially
feel
on less
good.
than two, especially on less than two, or yeah, less than 2
Especially
grand
on less than
You
investment
let
in the
the
beginning.
$2,000, you get $400 a month coming in. That dude,
Yeah,
there's no
it's not
other
bad.
asset class that's going to create that.
There's
for you.
not. There's not.
No.
And
And that's after
and
getting
guess
your
what?
ass kicked.
And guess what? You still have 34 or let's see here. You still have 30 grand set aside to go back in. You're sitting on $9,000. But because you put aside stablecoin and third party token, you're sitting on 31 grand of stablecoin.
Oh my God, it's so bullish,
You're
bro.
sitting on 10,000 grand of third party token. If that third party token didn't do anything, right? It probably, if everything went down 97%, this is probably $1. Right? But
Sure.
you're sitting on 31 grand. You're going to triple your bag here if you go right back into PLSX. So next bull run, dude, you're looking at starting from 40 grand versus $1,600. But let's
Jeez.
say
That's
we
incredible.
let's say we drop 70%. your income's $4,300 a month.
Wow. Even look at this. Even with Sami's poopy bear,
Even with his poopy bear math. Yeah.
it's still amazing.
Even with Big Sami the poopy bear math. Yeah, I mean
It's wild.
it's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
So 190-ish x. So you take it from a 70x to 190x from compounding consistently, and this is only compounding quarterly, right? Every 3 months.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm not trying
compounding
to make
once
a second
quarterly.
job.
Yeah.
Me and you, Dane, we'll be in this every single week.
Me too. Yeah.
Right. I'll be a compounding machine. All right.
Yeah. Well, let's look
Come
at.
on, Tetra.
Yeah.
Where's Red Squirrel? Red Squirrel, we need Tetra, bro.
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
All right, so Sprack, won't you give us a little moon map for Pulse and Pulse X with some TEA?
Here's our. Hold on,
Yeah,
here's
yeah,
our
we could.
fun. Here's our fun.
Yeah, go.
If it does what Hex does, math.
Okay, show us
Off
real
of
quick.
$1,600, you're making 220 grand a month. All right, I'm done.
I think I can live on that. All right.
I think it'd be okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was great, man. Thanks for sharing that.
that was awesome.
It's fun to see the insane math like a hex, and it's fun to see something a little bit more. It's funny that a 70x is considered conservative in crypto. It's wild.
No.
It's just it's retarded, bro. It's just so stupid.
Yeah, it's wild. All right, what do you got,
Yeah.
Sprack? The people want it.
Yeah. Yeah, people want it. Yeah, let me
People
share
want
my. The people have spoken.
It's
Yeah, let
good
me.
to talk about this other some TA and some use case for Pulse X instead of fighting over which hex is better.
Yeah. Yeah, can you guys see my screen?
We
Yeah,
can,
we got
man.
it.
Man, I like that little
Okay.
juicy dip there in the beginning.
Yeah, if you got any of this, hats off to
I
you.
caught a
Not
very
lot of
small
people
piece
did.
of it. I'm not gonna lie.
You got a little
Yeah.
piece too. Yeah.
Yep. I brought down
Yeah,
my
so
Snack
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Who
So
would've
yeah, the
thought
red line is this trap.
that? You bought down your sack cost basis.
Yeah, and I was like 1.6. I was a 1.6 on sack. So like,
Who
I
would
was
have
hyped.
ever thought
That
that,
was
bro?
sweet.
Like that's
Yeah.
so crazy to me. Oh,
Generational buys.
it was.
Even
dude.
right now,
Even
I
right
would
now.
argue like people are
Yeah.
gonna look back, and we're gonna look back at these videos. I think in 2 years and just feel so much gratitude. I think it's gonna be wild.
Exactly. Yeah, so like I don't think I have enough data to do a long-term projection like we typically do on other tokens for like a full cycle. PulseX still needs to do, unfortunately, it still needs to do a 70% dip, and it's not quite there yet. I typically we want to see something that kind of moves beyond its fair value and then corrects underneath its like a overcorrects under its fair value before we can do a bigger price prediction. But so the only thing I have right now is short-term price predictions, and the short-term price prediction is that we did hit a support level. So if you look back here where we kind of peaked out and trended above it, got up above the SAC rate. The SAC rate created a support value as well. But once we fell below it, this is now kind of, it's underneath the resistance. And so it bounced off of this level that we were, trending off of here as a support resistance zone. And what I'm noticing is, what I'm looking at is how far we dipped into this bounce and whether or not this level is going to hold. So I see that it hit kind of right in the spot that I like. It's kind of the golden pocket between the 618 and the 786. I like this as a buy zone, and if this holds, then we could see the move start to trend up, and that's where I would switch over from whatever I was, this move would be over, this move would be over, and we would start to trend in this direction. And so this is kind of what I have right now for short-term type of bullish pattern. If we can hold this level and start to trend up, I think that maybe the worst is kind of over for the short term, again, for the short term. And we could
Exactly.
start slowly grinding up, especially if we're seeing a lot more participants come into the ecosystem, a lot more people start to buy the asset and start to use it, because remember that buy and burn and the use case on PulseX is pretty phenomenal. I haven't seen anything like it in any of the other ecosystems. But yeah, we got a nice classic 1, 2, 3 pattern. This is a inverse head and shoulders pattern. So we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your W, and I
Oh
expect
yeah, I
to
see it.
price to
Okay.
move up from here. However, you do want to watch out for this area. This is your support, broke down above it. You're going to have some resistance here. So I do expect a sell off from that range, but I do expect it also to remain within the fork. So anytime you get in the bottom of this fork, it's a good time to kind of add on a little bit to your position. Again, none of this is supposed to happen. This is all just uh, tea leaves. But yeah, what I would wait for
Not
in
financial
terms
advice,
of
that's for damn sure. We're just
not
dudes
financial advice, what
making
I
up shit
am
on the
waiting for is something where we did what Hex did, or what Bitcoin did, or what any of these other ones did, is we wait for that third, and it could happen somewhere up here. It could happen at the moment. It's happening here, and it's the only reason I'm not counting it is because it wasn't that big of a dip, but you go for the ultimate low, and then you go for like the all-time high, and then you pull back to as much as this thing dipped, and you could see that and obviously this has to go into like a logarithmic chart, but let's just say that price never goes below the quad 07, and this area holds. Here's kind of your moon math, that by the year 2025 you're at the middle median line, which is about uh let's
3042.
see, 0042, but I'm looking at the time range here. Oh, that's why I'm on a 15.
Yeah.
I need to go to like a big time frame. I need to go to like a
I'll
weekly
say this is
time
gonna take
frame.
a while.
No.
Yeah, I like that
Wall
straight up
Street-
line. That looks good. Wait,
Wall
wait,
Street's
straight
gonna
up.
create a
This looks
new,
great. I love it.
Only straight up, sir.
So we don't have enough data, but but I'm just saying, if yeah, yeah, this is moon
$1,000.
math.
Oh, hey,
Yeah, 8 cents or something like that.
2026.
Yeah, that's why I don't believe any of this. So we don't have enough data
Yeah,
yet. We need
I'm
price
up
to
for
come
that.
up and then do a
Yeah, you need
pullback,
data.
and then we need that oversold where people capitulate. We're going to have our ups and downs. We're going to have our 70% dips. Again, we need something
But
like a
but
like a
but we're doing
70% dip.
we're doing moon math. Go out to 2025. We're doing it.
All
Let's
right.
do it. Yeah, let's just see,
Okay.
Yeah, what
Let's
does
and
do
then
it
we'll
say
cut
for
it
fun?
by a tenth.
I think I don't think this lets us go out to let's do the monthly then. Let's see what's a monthly. Oh no, that's not gonna do it. Yeah.
We only got
It's
1
only
month.
one
This is
candle.
All right, what do we
I don't
got?
think
August this year. August this year. You're saying 5 cents. All right, got it.
Let's do it.
yeah, 5 cents. Yeah, 5 cents.
Five
I mean,
cents.
Perfect. I love it.
yeah.
Holding you to it. I'm leveraging my
Pre
house
bull run. Yeah,
today,
pre
and
bull run 5 cents. I like it. I'm in.
People run 5 cents. Yeah. Yeah. Again, not the best amount of
There's just no
information.
data.
on that data. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and for the most part, I think this pitchfork could actually give us some bullish price action up in here, and then we do like a bigger correction, and then we could have like a nice cycle where we'd say, okay, now I could see what this thing's going to do long term. But yeah, we need a little bit more data. But
How
hey,
far out? Sorry.
how far out does it
Yeah,
let
how
us go?
far out? No, how far out does this put Randy's 90x? Because he said, does he say 100 days, 90 days?
90 days,
90
100x,
days,
90
100x,
days.
90 days. Where does that put?
Oh.
Where does this put 90 days at?
Oh, that's a good question. Hold on a second. Let's get the measure tool here. price range. So he said 90 days 100x.
Yeah. I mean,
So 100x
I
would
think
be a
that's his.
1,000%.
Yeah. 100%.
1,000%. Let's see. We did 100% there, and then we want to go to the 10x. So it'd be up here. Here we go. Somewhere around here. Okay, so June.
Wow.
309.
June.
It's
If
in
if
play
we
still.
hold the
Yeah.
yeah, if we hold the trend,
Right.
which is kind of
It's just math.
yeah,
It's just math.
it's just
It's designed to do it.
yeah.
Although
moves
if
at
they
the
did it,
function of
if
a
they
square.
did the 100x in 90 days, maybe that's where you see the very huge 70, 80, 90% correction that you're needing Sprock to really determine the long-term, price prediction.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I do think though, I do think that once we get something like a 10x, I think there could be a sell off at that point.
Oh, for sure. We
Just
saw a sell up
because
on 2x. We saw 2x and guys were dumping their bags.
Yeah, big time.
yeah, that was I mean, that happens on every launch, like no matter what coin you have, there's just like a dump because people either they just they put in more than they could afford or they have to pay off loans, like the disparities. And 2x yeah, there's a lot of reasons, but let's just say the bigger smart wallets, the bigger the guys that have like a couple $1,000,000 in this thing, and they get to a 10x, dude, that's like $10 million, $20
Yeah,
million.
you're in
I mean,
I agree.
they're
Oh, yeah.
they're going to take their maybe 50% of the bag and move it somewhere else. So they're not going to rage dump and they're not going to exit their entire position, but they are definitely going to take profits, and their positions are big enough to where the profit taking that they do can move the price,
Yeah.
just because they have just so many freaking coins, especially because they're such big wallets. When they're big wallets, they took advantage of the larger bonuses. So they have even more capital than a million. They put 1 million in. Well, they've got about another 30% on top of that just for being a large staker.
Yeah.
So
I guarantee you a couple of them were early on the bridge as well. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
I hung out with a guy the other night here in Puerto Rico, and my bag's pretty good. Like I'm very, very happy with my bag, but his bag was 20 times bigger. 20 times. I was like, bro,
Jesus.
what?
That's insane.
So there's a lot of big money in the ecosystem that will, and they're all people, right? They're just people. Like I think this whole narrative, like in the community for the last 2 years, like, oh, the big bag holders, they're gonna diamond hand to the moon. Like what? No. They're gonna dump on a 2x. They're gonna dump on a 5x. They're gonna dump on a 10x. They're gonna dump on a 20x. They don't need, and Dana said this many times, they don't need the 100x that the smaller bag holders need. They don't need it. A 10x for those guys is absolutely astronomical.
Yep. I made a big long Twitter post about this like a couple weeks ago, I think, saying like, you're not going to see 1,000x till it's your turn, and that's not till like
Oh, I like that.
90% of the top 1,000 wallets are out.
I like that.
Yeah.
Dude, that's very well said, because that describes how the redistribution of wealth is created when you're waiting your turn. Dude, that's beautiful. Wow. You tweeted that?
Yeah.
I got to go back and find your tweet and retweet it. That way I can have it on my wall.
Really quick.
I like that. That's exactly it. You nailed it.
Yeah, I'll DM it to you.
You nailed it.
I DM'd that information to Pultstream, and he went ahead and took the credit and tweeted it. So
It's true. It's true.
no. And it sounds like, I mean, Pultstream, love your other guys' thoughts on this, but it seems like Pultstream is pretty much is feeling extremely confident about PultX closing the gap 1-to-1 to Pults and then overtaking it in time.
How does it not? I guarantee you the buy and burn will outlast every single bag
Big Buyer
in
Barry.
this game. Yep, Big Buyer Barry ain't going away, man. He's actually got unlimited money.
I like that guy.
he's my
That's
friend.
who we need to be friends with, Dane.
Yeah. Oh man.
Big
That's
Buyer
it.
Barry.
And who knows the guy? We need a connection.
You know, it might be a couple years, right? But I
Right.
mean, that liquidity pool gets hit for what is it right now? What's our volume at today? Let's see here. We're at 230 mil. 230. 123 times 0.006. He's buying so far today 006 0006. Sorry. He's today so far buying 140 grand.
It's remarkable.
That's what he's doing
And it's
today.
only 11 a.m. my time, Mountain
Yeah.
Standard.
Even only 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. I mean,
Yeah.
like, bro, like what?
He's
It's
doing
so
that.
crazy. Man.
He doesn't have a choice. He's doing it. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's nuts. I mean, eventually, right? I mean, that's just stamina. Eventually, it's the turtle, man. It's the tortoise and the hare. It just keeps going.
And so far, it's been Poltex has been the hare. It's been flying. It's been closing the gap
know.
earlier on. I didn't think it'd be
I
this
did not
fast,
either.
but it's closed the gap early.
Yeah, I think I told you guys. I was waiting for like a 7-1, and I was gonna dump 90% of my PLS bag. I was waiting for 7-1. 4-1 would have been the move. You know,
That was
that was the move. As soon, I should have used Dane as my signal. Is what I should have done. Why didn't you DM me, man?
That was your top signal.
I'm switching now. And I should, oh, there it is. I'm out.
I'll post on Twitter next time so you guys can use me as a signal.
Thank you.
I mean, we did buy Randy Hilarski his truck, so I mean, why not?
I like giving coins away to the community. You know what I mean? I'm the giving tree over here.
That's how you earn your stripes, bro. You didn't know?
That's right.
You gotta
I'll
be
start a
exiting
GoFundMe
from
for I'll start a GoFundMe for the bad decisions I made. You guys can help me out.
Your bad decision is not as bad as mine that I'm dealing with right now. That I'm trying to redistribute in between.
Sure. Sure.
I'd rather have your problem.
Yeah. Well, cool, guys. This is we've had a really strong show today. I think we've covered a lot of these.
Sprack, you got any last parting words? I see Sprack kind of messing around there. I'm gonna give him the
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no. I was just looking at Pulse as well. Obviously buying Pulse, obviously buying Pulse X, but Pulse is doing pretty good. Pulse is actually did a nice bounce off of this area. Again, pulled back into the 7-8. This would be a good buying opportunity. Again, look for resistance here. We got to break over this this downtrend. I think we're going to be in this channel for quite a while, but we do have to get above the 2x sack rate for that. And then the other chart that I was looking at was Pulse X, but it was Pulse X against Pulse. So yeah, so I want to see how it's. So this is Pulse X performing against Pulse, and if you notice, it's riding the pitchfork just nice. So it's in this middle median line here. It did pop up. I think this was a euphoric moment. We do have deviations from some of this stuff, so I'd expect it to either keep riding up. Maybe it comes back into the lower channel, but yeah, if you're talking about when do we see a 1-to-1, if this keeps happening, it's going to be about
a month away.
maybe. Let's see. The chart won't let me go out too far, but let's just say the middle median line is always conservative. So yeah, 2 months.
Wow.
Hey, and single-sided staking. I mean, think about it. Richard released a single-sided staking. You have it. You know, make room. I mean,
you want to talk about squashing and smashing the biggest narrative that's been in the hex community for 2 years, and that happens. Yeah. Oh my god, dude! These guys
I've been hammering that too. Like, at least not lately, but like coming up to launch, like, oh, you've never seen a layer 1 or a Dex outdo a layer 1. It's like you've never seen a Dex launch at the same time as layer 1 or have this kind of utility.
It's gonna be earth-shattering in our community. Dude. You think the ehex debacle and fighting going on is big now? Wait till this happens.
I can't wait.
It's yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
to hammer that point, I got some last parting fun things.
Oh, yeah, send it, man.
All right. So we can see down here we have total liquidity of PLSX at 2.1 trillion. 2.1 trillion. And we can see the total bought and burnt bought and burnt so far at 67 billion. Well, guess what? Of total liquidity, that number
It,
right here,
and this is not including the OA supply, right?
this is liquidity. So this is what's in the pools right
Oh,
now.
I apologize. You said a
Yeah.
liquidity, yeah.
Did I do that backwards? I might have done that backwards. Pardon me. It's embarrassing. That's 3.1%.
Jeez, of the liquidity.
How many
We've
days have we
only
been
been
out for?
around for 2 weeks.
How many days have we been out for?
That's
3%'s gone.
stupid.
So
Jeez.
see you,
Oh,
PLS.
I'm so.
That's remarkable to look at in that respect.
That's
Holy
ridiculous,
cow.
dude.
Ridiculous.
3.1% of liquidity in 2 weeks
2 weeks.
has been bought and burnt.
Oh, man.
Wow.
I'm excited to see in 6 months where we're at. I think it's going to be
It's
wild.
gonna be wild, man.
It is
Yeah.
gonna be wild, man.
Oh,
Well,
man.
my Pulse X bags are a little bit more packed over my Pulse bags. I think I might maybe
Might redistribute a little.
my DCAing from this point though, like because all my bags are nice, right? Like they're really nice, and once you kind of got like that core foundation where you feel like good in all three, then you can go like, okay, which one do I like the most? And it's like then you just allocate more to that bag as you're moving along because that's your moon bag really, you know. So
Yeah.
Pulse X is really going in that direction for me. And it always has been, but you always kind of like the narratives kind of grow on you back and forth, and you kind of like start to change your mind about things. And then, man, I'm leaning back to the Pulse X direction. I love it. So
I'm excited.
Right.
cool.
Absolutely. Cool, guys. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you guys, Pulse Extreme and Sprackburger, for jumping in and sharing all
As
your
always.
wisdom with us. Yeah, always appreciate you guys. Make sure that you guys follow these guys. Make sure that you check out their stuff. Why don't you guys, Pulse Extreme, I know you've got your channel, show your stuff, and Sprackburger as well.
Yeah. So you guys saw the little spreadsheet I got earlier in the stream. That's pretty much all I'm doing for a year, maybe 2, and then I'm gone. Hopefully, make some good friends I keep in touch with along the way. Yeah, that's it. You know, you can find me at Pulse Extreme on Twitter, YouTube it. That's all.
Perfect.
Hit it, Sprack.
Oh yeah, no, I'm kind of a small guy anyways. I just like to have fun with TA. But yeah, if you guys want to ever ask me any questions, I'm always DMs are open. You can find me at DJ underscore Sergio V. Let me share my
Yeah,
let me
put in
share
the
my
comments.
screen here. In the comments.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me add this.
Yeah. Oh, here we
Gotcha.
go. So this is my profile if you could see it, and I have it
Cool.
at DJ underscore Sergio V. So if you need to
Cool.
hit me up, DMs, whatever.
Awesome. Well, cool, guys. Have an excellent weekend. We will be off Monday and Tuesday next week, but we have tell them about our guest, Corey, next week.
Absolutely. So we got Maximum Broadcast on Wednesday, and then obviously you guys are knowing what's going on with the ehex versus the phex controversy. Some of these guys are kind of piecing out. Dixon Piper will be piecing out, so he's doing like a one last tour around the YouTube shows, and we got the honor of having him on Thursday. So we can talk about some of this controversy, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I see Dixon out here actually in Puerto Rico. He's out here located. So it's I hit him up and got him on. So next week's gonna be an awesome week. Make sure you guys don't miss out. And of course, Friday we'll be back on with our open mic day, where we can have Sprack back on with some TA and whoever else wants to hop on and shoot the good word with us. So man, yeah, it's been blessed.
Yep. Awesome. Cool, guys. Have a good one.